What's going on, everybody? On YouTube, Steve here with Raiken Profit, coming back to you with the second part of this series, 50 mistakes to avoid when selling on Amazon FBA. If you missed the first part, check it out right here, linking it up. Make sure to watch that first as I cover the first 10 mistakes. So let's move on to number 11 through 20 in terms of the 50 mistakes to avoid when selling on Amazon FBA. And again, these are mistakes that I made over the last couple of years selling on Amazon FBA, things that really held me back, things I wish that I would have known when I had first gotten started. So with that being said, if you're ready to rock and roll, let's dive into part number 2 of this series. All right, guys, so here we go. Number 11, the 11th mistake not to make on Amazon FBA is making sure that you don't just procrastinate on getting ungated with certain categories on Amazon. And if you don't know what I mean by getting ungated, if you're new, let me put it this way. There's certain types of items and certain categories on Amazon that you're not allowed to sell on unless you get approved first. And I'm not going to talk about how to get approved. Do a Google search. There's also companies out there that can help you to get approved and whatnot. But think of maybe the category clothing or the category shoes. You cannot sell shoes or clothing on Amazon unless you get ungated first. And luckily right now, getting ungated in shoes and clothing, luggage, handbags, watches, things like that are gated off aren't super difficult right now, but other categories like grocery, health and personal care, automotive, certain categories like that are a little more difficult. So the mistake is make sure that you get ungated now as soon as possible, because as time goes on, it's only going to get more challenging. It's going to start costing money. It's already happening, and it's just going to be more difficult to get ungated. So if you want to start selling items like groceries, shoes, clothing, luggage, automotive, all those different types of items, now is the time to get ungated. Mistake number 12. All right, mistake number 12 when selling on Amazon FBA is not collecting sales tax. Now, I'm no CPA. I'm not going to pretend to play one online. I'm no accountant. But you are supposed to be collecting sales tax with in-state transactions. So, for example, say you live in Connecticut and you sell an item to another person, a customer in Connecticut, you're supposed to be taking in sales tax. So make sure you look into that. There's companies out there like taxjar.com that can help you with this. And right now there's a lot of, gray area in terms of should you be collecting sales tax in all these other states where your items are warehoused. For example, say you're selling on Amazon FBA and you send a lot of your items off to the Pennsylvania warehouse. Some people say since you're doing that, you're technically doing business in that state, which would mean if you sold something to a customer in Pennsylvania and your items are housed in Pennsylvania, you'd be liable for sales tax as well. There's a lot of, gray area. Some people are saying do it. Others are saying you don't have to. Really, that's up to you. I would check out taxjar.com. I would talk to your CPA, but make sure you're collecting sales tax. It's pretty easy to do through Amazon once you register for a sales tax ID, but yeah, definitely look into that and don't make that mistake. All right, so this is a pretty basic mistake that I see a lot of beginners making when they're selling on Amazon, and this mistake is buying products without scanning. Buying products without scanning. Make sure if you're going to purchase a product, especially if you don't have any experience selling that product, maybe you come across a video game that you've never sold, you don't know anything about it, don't just go based on your gut instinct. Don't just say to yourself, oh, this is an N64 game, or this is a Nintendo game, or this is a Sega Genesis game. This is so rare, I'm going to buy it. It's got to be worth money. No, do not do that. It's so quick to just take out your phone, scan your item with the Amazon Seller app, and take a look at the sales rank. Take a look at what it's selling for. Take a look at the competition. Don't go based on your gut instinct. Scan the items first. Mistake number 14. Mistake number 14 applies to booksellers especially. Let's say that you're a bookseller and you buy a whole bunch of different books. You're traveling from state to state. You're going from thrift store to thrift store. And you're using the Amazon Seller app. One thing I want to say right now is if you're using the Amazon Seller app, the only way you're going to be able to get information through that database is by having the internet, having internet access. But we all know from time to time, from thrift store to thrift store, sometimes there's just no internet, right? When I went on my 90-day trip, there were parts of California and Arizona where there was just no internet, and I went to go scan with the Amazon seller app and I was out of business. So mistake number 14 is, especially for booksellers, make sure you have a backup offline database to be able to scan your items. So for example, if you use a service like FBA Scan, they actually have a database that you can download prior to going out scanning, and you'll be able to scan items without having to use the internet. So that's a big mistake if you're doing high volume, if this is your livelihood and you have to be able to scan items to analyze deals, have a backup database, right? Have something where you can have a database that's downloaded. Now again, it's not going to be as accurate as something that's live and you're getting that information directly from the API, but it's still a tool and it'll help you so much more to be able to buy items versus just going in there blind. So check out FBA Scan. There's a couple other databases out there you can download with PDAs like Dell Axum 51s and whatnot, but make sure you have a backup downloadable database that doesn't rely on the internet. It's going to help you out a lot, and if you don't do this, you're probably going to lose out on some big bucks.
Mistake number 15.
Mistake number 15 is not evolving your business when Amazon changes. Now, I'm going to tell you guys right now, I've been selling on Amazon for a couple years now, 2 to 3 years. I've been selling on eBay. I had a Kindle publishing business. Obviously, I'm making YouTube videos. And I want to tell you right now, when you're selling on another platform or you're doing business on another platform, they're going to be changing the rules quite often, especially if it's a big company like YouTube or Google or Amazon or eBay. They're always changing because the competition's always changing. Things are always changing. They need to improve. And when you're playing in somebody else's sandbox, things are going to change. Like, for example, all the latest Amazon restrictions. You can either change and adapt and grow to meet the new needs of the business, or you can perish, you can give up, you can quit, you can complain. This is a tip that, will really help you out a lot. This is a thing that I wish that I would have been doing. There were times where, there were rule changes and there were things that happened and they switched things up. And I got upset, I got mad, and I kind of quit and gave up for a couple months at a time. And it really hurt me, especially in my Kindle publishing business. It's happened on Amazon before. You've got to realize, and I'm going to say it once again, I'm going to drill it into your head because I'm literally saying this to myself as well. Things are going to change. It's not going to be the same this year as it is the next year. Things are going to change, and you have to be willing to adapt. The winners adapt, and the people who don't, they lose, they perish, they don't make the money, they don't get the share, right? They don't make the profit. So really take this to heart and realize when you get into an Amazon selling business, one of the biggest mistakes you can make is thinking that it's always going to be the same. The same products are going to continue to sell. It's going to have hot sales velocity. I'm always going to be able to go to this thrift store. I'm always going to be able to make money from this liquidation company. Things always change, so be willing to adapt. Mistake number 16 out of 50 when selling on Amazon FBA is spending way too much time manually repricing your items. So what do I mean by that? Let's say you have 1,000 items for sale on Amazon. From time to time, you're going to have to go in and change up the prices based on the competition, seasonality, sales velocity. There's so many different factors. But it's a fact that prices do change, and if you want to stay competitive based on your business model, of course, you're going to have to change your prices. Now, I'm going to tell you, once you get over a couple hundred items in your inventory on Amazon, it's going to become very time-consuming to go in and change all the prices. So what's a solution to this? There's actually something that's called a repricer. And a repricer is a software, and there's a bunch of different companies you can look into. I use repriceit.com. But a repricer is a software that will automatically adjust your prices based on the rules you set forth for it. So I'm not going to go into all the nuances of how it works, the good and the bad, because there's definitely pros and cons to having a repricer. But a big mistake I see people making is, they get over 200, 300, 400, 500 items, and they're spending hours per week repricing their items when really there's a couple things you need to be focusing on to grow your business, like sending in items, buying items, managing employees if you've got people. You don't want to be spending a majority of your time repricing your items. Again, people are going to have different opinions, but I truly believe that this is a mistake, and I'd say to definitely look into a repricer once you get over a couple hundred items in your inventory.
Mistake number 17.
Mistake number 17 out of 50 when it comes to selling on Amazon FBA is not sending in enough items. I've talked about this time and time again on my channel. This relates not only to Amazon, but eBay, to Etsy, to Craigslist, to all these reselling platforms. If you want to make more money, you're going to have to list more. If you want to make more money on Amazon FBA, you're going to have to send in more items. And one of the biggest mistakes I see is people, they send in a bunch of items and then they kind of go on vacation. They take a week off. They take 2 weeks off. They take 3 weeks off. If you want to continue to grow your business, to make more money, to push your gross sales, to increase your sales velocity, you've got to continue to send in items. In other words, you've got to feed the beast, right? Quote unquote, feed the beast. That's what us Amazon folks like to call it. But continue to send in items. Continue to ship in items. Magical things happen when you're consistent with your shipments. I don't know what it is, but the more you ship into the warehouses, the more money you're gonna make. Mistake number 18 out of 50 when it comes to selling on Amazon FBA. And this is a mistake that, I wish that I would have avoided when I had first gotten started, was to make sure that I'm diversifying my sourcing methods, right? When I had first gotten started, I was like 100% thrift stores, right? I didn't really know about pawn shops. I was doing garage sales a little bit, but I wasn't doing any retail arbitrage. I wasn't doing any online arbitrage. I was kind of just sticking with one or two things, and that's fine, but there is gonna come a point where you have to diversify, and that's really the main point I'm trying to make, and the mistake that I'm trying to put forth to you guys is make sure you diversify, right? Even if you're brand new, get started, with thrift stores and learn that, but make sure to continue learning about different things, right? I'm not telling you to be, a jack of all trades and a master of none, but what I'm really trying to put forth is, especially as time goes on and more competition comes into the market because of this magical thing called the internet, the secret's out. People are learning about reselling. People need to learn how to make more money, and they're flocking into this reselling niche, and you've got to stay ahead of the curve. And what's one way that you can do that? Is to diversify your sourcing methods, right? Maybe you want to look into private label. Maybe you want to look into wholesale. Maybe you want to look into liquidation, estate sales, garage sales, thrift stores, online arbitrage. There's so many opportunities out there. Make sure you diversify. Mistake number 19 out of 50 when it comes to selling on Amazon FBA is judging a product based on personal opinion. So there's a lot of weird things out there that actually sell extremely well on Amazon. Things from sexual wellness to just really odd, obscure books. I mean, the list goes on and on. There's so many things out there that you probably think to yourself, who in the world would want to buy this item? But I'm telling you guys right now, put your personal opinion outside of your buying decisions. Rely on the information that you receive from your scanning tool. So if you're using the Amazon Seller app or Scoutify or FBA Scan, rely on the information, rely on the customer reviews, rely on the rank, rely on the competition, rely on the margins. Don't rely on what you think, because you want to know what the market wants, and this is going to sound harsh, but the market doesn't care what you want, and the market doesn't care what I want. The market wants what the market wants. So feed the market what it wants. Don't rely on what you think is a good item, a bad item, a popular item, a non-popular item. Rely on the information that you receive from your scanning application, and that's gonna help you out big time. All right, let's get into the last mistake. 20 out of 50 from this part 2 out of 5 video. This mistake is not networking. I'm gonna tell you right now, one of the biggest mistakes I see people making is thinking that they have to learn everything on their own. They have to learn about what to buy on their own. They have to figure everything out firsthand. They have to make all their own mistakes. And while that's great because that person's taking action, you can learn so much from networking, from meeting like-minded people, going to reseller meetups, watching YouTube videos, joining Facebook groups, joining the green room. There's so many ways to connect and network with people that could shorten your learning curve and accelerate your growth. It's ridiculous. So I'm not gonna dive into this too deep, but don't make the mistake of just being, a solo entrepreneur, thinking that you have to do it all on your own. There's so many amazing people out there who are already getting the results that you want, who have already made the mistakes, who have already figured it out. So connect with them, learn from them, reach out to these people, and you'll be surprised at what you can learn by networking. So that's it, guys. That's part number 2 out of this 5-part series, 50 mistakes to avoid on Amazon FBA. Again, if you didn't get get the chance to check out part 1, check that out in the description or check it out right over here. I'm going to link it up. But I really appreciate you guys watching. You guys rock. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, we got a free book that's in the description. It's called 100 Amazing Items to Resell. If you want to learn about some of my favorite 100 items that I sell on eBay, Amazon, Craigslist, pawn shops, and the list goes on, be sure to download that free book, and I think you'll really enjoy it. So anyways, guys, I'll see you in part 3 coming soon, and until then, keep on picking and making that money, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Thanks for watching.